Hi, this is Yaro here, and thank you for watching my video. Today I want to talk about a book that I recently finished reading, which you can see just here. This is the story of Tony Hawk, who, if you are not familiar with him, he's actually a professional skateboarder, by far the most well-known professional skateboarder on the planet. But what's really interesting about Tony is how he's been able to parlay his skateboarding and his fame in that area into a massive business empire. And that's exactly what this book is about. It's How Did I Get Here? The Ascent of the Unlikely CEO. And this book is, for me, not exactly the best written book. It wasn't, a gripping read or anything. But in terms of a business book, it actually was quite interesting. And by far the biggest takeaway point for me, which I'd like to share with you, is how Tony was able to use the fame he developed, the personal brand, and translate that into all kinds of different business opportunities. It really was quite impressive what he was able to do in terms of different types of products he was able to enter and have success with simply because of his name recognition and his brand. So obviously Tony's into skateboarding, so you've got skateboarding itself, the skateboards, you've got the clothing and all the culture that goes with that. But that also turned into all kinds of different areas, like your breakfast cereals, you've got your video games, you've got your live events. Tony has obviously clothing, you've got backpacks, you've got even McDonald's toys. So he really transcended what would be considered a company within a specific industry to a brand that was able to be used in all kinds of different industries. And that's a really interesting thing because as a person who has a brand, and obviously anyone who's an expert in any kind of field, if you're watching this and you're positioning yourself as an expert, you know how important your personal brand is. So what you do as a person and how you connect with people really has a strong influence on who buys from you and why they buy from you. I remember a long time ago when I was first studying internet marketing, I was listening to an interview with a couple of internet marketers. And they were sort of just talking, casually having a conversation. There was a subject that the interview was about, but I can't even remember that. But there was one point I remember really well, which was that your goal as a marketer, especially someone who is an expert using their personal brand, is to make the customer or the potential customer or just anyone who comes into contact with you to like you. And that was the most powerful marketing technique there is, to simply be a likable person, because you're much more likely to have someone buy from you if they actually genuinely like you. Which I thought is interesting because it goes beyond whether you're good at what you do or whether the subject area they care about is something they think they can benefit from. Before any of that even necessarily comes into play, they're looking at you as a person, as a character, and then considering whether you're the best person to solve their need. In Tony's case, it goes even beyond that. He went from being just a well-known skateboarder to a well-known national and even international brand. Now that's not something that most of us are ever going to do, but it really highlights the importance of branding, and in particular you as a persona behind your company or in front of your company, depending on how you do things. Me as a professional blogger and a trainer and a teacher, most of my products and most of the credibility I get around anything I release online is very much tied to my personal brand. Now that's obviously something that takes a bit of time to build up, and you need to do that by consistently developing good products, giving away great free information, always being a source of valuable information. And not only that, the way you deliver it, what's your credentials, what sort of case studies do you have, what kind of actions have you taken, and what sort of results have you got for yourself and for other people? How do you even present? Something like this in a video right now, some people are going to like the way I present, some people are going to be turned off by it, maybe bored by it, some people will be listening to every word I say. A lot of different variables go into this, even things simple as what clothing I'm wearing, what haircut I had. That for me was a big revelation. Getting a short haircut after having a long haircut did change my personal brand a little bit. So those are all kinds of considerations that really come into play. In my case, reading this book is definitely something that's highlighted how powerful branding really is. So don't underestimate your ability to convert a sale simply because of how recognized and how trusted and how much people like who you are, what you stand for, what you've done, what you've achieved, and what you can give to someone else. So that's the most important point. I do recommend, of course, you read the book if you're interested in Tony Hawk, interested in skateboarding, or just interested in anything to do with branding and creating a big brand around a person, and going into all kinds of different verticals and having lots of different companies around the one brand, even though the products can be very unrelated. So that's the most interesting thing I got from this book, and that's pretty much all I want to share with you in this video. You can grab the book obviously from all kinds of bookshops anywhere. I got this copy from, I think it was Borders here in Australia. If you want any more information along the lines of personal branding or marketing or internet business, I do recommend you check out my blog, which is at entrepreneurs-journey.com. You can always get my videos at yaro.tv, and of course you can get lots of other fantastic resources just by Googling my name, which is Yaro, Y-A-R-O, and you'll find all my free reports, links to my blog, links to my videos, everything by doing a Google search for my name. That's it from me. My name is Yaro Stark, and I look forward to speaking to you again on another video soon. Thank you.